December 26th meeting of the Village of Pinehurst Historic Preservation Commission. The purpose of the commission is to approve certificates of appropriateness for new construction or major work, and to do so by conducting hearings and findings of fact when applications come before us. Our mission is to take no action except to preserve and approve that which is congruous with the special character of the Village of Pinehurst Historic District. I am Molly Gwynn, the chair. To my left is Jim McChesney and Tom Schroeder, Alex Cameron of the village staff, and Peter Hughes of the village staff. On my right, Eric Von Salzen, Terry Lertz, and Richard Vincent. Absent today because he's traveling is our Commissioner, John Taylor. We have a quorum, so we can proceed. This is a quasi-judicial hearing, so anyone desiring to testify must be sworn in, and we are required to consider only facts when presented in this hearing. And the proceedings are video recorded. The first order of business is to review the minutes, and to hear any discussion or any suggestions for corrections or modifications to the minutes.
I make a motion to approve.
Tom Schroeder has made a motion to approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Jim McChesney has seconded the motion. And you need to turn your mic on. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Now, let me swear in Peter Hughes and Alex Cameron with the village staff before we present the first case. Do you affirm that the testimony you shall give the commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. I do.
Thank you. Now I need a motion to hear COA 19-057. Is there a motion to hear the case? Eric Von Salzen moved to hear the case. Tom Schroeder seconded the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you.
The purpose of this public hearing is to consider a request within the Pinehurst Historic District for an exterior modification to include an addition of an accessory structure with an accompanying deck to the rear yard of 20 Spur Road. The property can be identified in Moore County. Oh, I am reading the wrong. Nope, I'm reading the wrong one. I apologize. This is a case to hear on an exterior modification to 20 Medland Road. The property can be identified by Moore County tax record. (0028-752). The owner and applicant is Lee Manzo. This is the third hearing for this request, as the commission has continued the case the previous times over concerns of needing additional and specific material to provide a reasonable ruling. Staff has worked with both the applicant and the builder to address those concerns, and the builder for this project is here tonight to address any additional technical concerns. At this time, I would like to enter the following material into the public record: the COA application, the survey, the photo of the existing structure, graphic renderings and proposed renovation, an updated material list, the updated building elevations, and lastly, the draft findings of fact.
Lee, would you like to come forward with your builder and present your application? And I'm going to need to swear both of you in. Lee Manzo, and your name?
Tyler Cook.
Tyler Cook. Do you affirm that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So we sent you away last time with some questions, and I think they concerned questions about materials and windows. And you want to tell us what you're doing here?
Yes, ma'am. So, the biggest thing is we are...
Sir, you need to speak into the microphone so it's picked up. Otherwise, nobody's going to know what you say.
Test. So, the biggest thing, we are putting in a front porch and overhang, new Craftsman-style door. The windows will be matching the existing, which will be a white vinyl material. The front door will be a fiber classic builder-grade door that will be stained in the provincial color. I've brought a black piece of, the only new material is the black metal roof, which I brought a sample with me. As far as the shakes on the front, which is a vinyl material, we'll be going back matching the existing.
Okay. Lee, anything to add? Any questions? Any discussion from the commissioners?
I've got one question.
Sure.
What color is the front door going to end up?
Conventional.
I think it's listed on the materials list, or there was an email
There was an
between,
email
between
between-
Peter and Ty about what color that door would be.
I'm just not sure what Early American by Minwax from
It-
the stain color.
It's a lighter brown color.
Is the photograph a fair representation of what that color will look like when it's on the door?
Yes, sir.
And we had a question last time about what color the square pillars were going to be, and it looks to me like they're going to be white.
I knew that we've gone back and forth, but I think what's going to look a little bit nicer is to stain those columns to match the front door.
Okay. So we
you're-
need to make an amendment, I guess, to the application to that effect, but let me just take another look at your email.
Yeah, because in the email it says white 6-inch square columns.
I think we were originally going to go white, but then when me and Mrs. Lee have been communicating, we both agreed that staining those columns to match the front door will have a lot nicer curb appeal.
Okay.
And it'll bring out more of the craftsmanship in the home.
So do the drawings have color indication on them? I mean, the materials list,
Elevation.
elevation?
Well, what we have is the information from the email between Peter and Ty. So it's in that email, and it's a change from white columns to stained columns. And we can reflect that in the motion.
I'd say stain columns to match the front door then.
Yes, sir.
Stained
Is
columns
that-
to match.
It's going to be the same stain color as the front door.
That's correct.
And then, sorry, Molly, why
Go
don't you carry
ahead.
on?
No, go ahead.
So one of the other items, and it may just be the color rendering, but you have, it looks like some sort of brick material on the floor and on the rendering, and I think it says broom finished or broom swept concrete.
Yes, sir. So I had gotten into the project a little bit later after the architect, but I think that it's hard on all the software, but that's actually showing the brick front of the front porch, but the concrete material itself would be a broom finish material on the top.
So it's just reversed in the drawing.
No, ma'am. I mean, it's just, I think the front of it's showing pavers, but it's actually going to be concrete. But you'd still have a brick front foundation like the house is. It's just hard to see the top of it because you're looking at an elevation and not a plan view.
So using that drawing that's up on the screen right now, the horizontal piece of that front porch, which comes up X number of inches, is going to be what?
It'll be brick to match the existing foundation.
Okay, so that's going to be brick.
Correct.
Flat level of the porch is going to be brushed concrete.
Concrete, yes, sir.
I'm just trying to understand because this isn't kind of what that represents, is what I'm,
Understood.
Well, it's reversed in the drawing from what you wanted.
Okay.
We
and
note
that's
those two
true
changes.
across the whole width of that porch.
Yes, sir.
Because that porch looks like it's offset, part of it's narrower than the other part, is that correct?
Correct.
So the metal part of the roof is strictly the gable over the front door?
And the shed roof, it's the whole new front porch will be metal.
Okay, so that will all be the black metal?
Just be careful, it's a little sharp.
Take out a microphone here. It's nice and heavy. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to say that. We'll leave it here for safekeeping.
And what is the rest of the roof of the existing?
It's existing shingles that we're not touching.
What is it? What color is it? What is it? What kind of material is it?
It's asphalt shingles.
Gray? Black?
It's a gray shingle. I couldn't tell you exactly what name
No, I'm
color
not saying,
it
I
is.
just, it's not red or something like that. It's a
No,
dark
sir.
color.
Yes, sir. It's a grayish type of shingle.
Any more questions? I usually ask for comments from attendees. Don't see any neighbors here. I think we're ready to make a motion. Is anybody up to a motion?
On due consideration of the application package submitted and testimony given, certificate of appropriateness, COA 19-057, the Historic Preservation Commission concludes the following. That the applicant has satisfied the burden of persuasion in the project as proposed, subject to any conditions imposed by the commission, is congruous with the special character of the Pinehurst Historic District and consistent with Historic District guidelines. A certificate of appropriateness is hereby granted for the reasons stated.
And then do we need to put exceptions in for the porch and the,
Add I think it would be an amendment that the columns will be stained as opposed to white, as it showed in the drawing.
As noted, the columns at the front of the structure will be stained to match the
Front
new
door.
stain on the front door. Okay?
Do I hear a second to the motion?
Second?
now I do have one more question. How many columns are we talking about?
Front, you would have 4, and there'd be,
Are we staining all 4 of those?
correct.
Match, okay. Because I had planted in my head it was just the 2 in front of the door. And now we're talking about, and now I'm thinking, after your correction, thank you, that we're staining all 4 of them.
Well, let's get back to our motion. Jim McChesney made the motion. Eric Von Saltzen seconded the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carried unanimously. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Ty.
Yes, ma'am. We appreciate y'all's time.
Now,
we're
I
good.
need,
Thank you.
I need a motion to hear the next case, which is COA 19-083.
I so move.
Tom Schroeder made the motion. Is there a second?
Second?
Jim McChesney seconded the motion. Peter, would you like to present the case?
Yes, ma'am. This public hearing is to consider a request within the Pinehurst Historic District for an exterior modification to include an addition of an accessory structure with an accompanying deck to the rear yard at 20 Spur Road. The property can be identified in the Moore County Tax Registry by Moore County PIN number 856-205-072-732. The property is owned by Marilyn Barrett. The applicant proposes to modify a rear yard with the addition of a 428-square-foot accessory building and an accompanying deck. The addition of the accessory structure does not exceed the maximum allowed impervious surface. All building materials are proposed to match existing materials of the principal structure. All elevations of the accessory building are proposed to be painted wood siding to match the existing principal structure. A sidewalk composed of brick, crushed stone to match the existing site conditions is proposed to connect the proposed accessory building to the existing pathway network. At this time, I'd like to enter the following material into the public record: the COA application, the site plan, the graphic renderings of the proposed proposed accessory structure, the building elevations, and lastly, the draft findings of fact.
Christine, would you like to present? I'll swear you in. Do you affirm that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Yes, I do.
Christine Dandino, retired HPC member.
Okay, so I think the application pretty much explains it. They want to add a shed in the back, and this particular site is it's kind of odd because it's down a dead-end road. So I consider the location of the shed to be the back of the house, honestly. The village has stopped maintaining that road. Well, it's not an asphalt road, it's not a public road, it's really hidden in the back of the village, and it's surrounded by, you know, the recycling facilities and maintenance trucks going beep beep all time day long. So, yeah, the current owners took that existing house and just made it into a gem that was actually like in This Old House magazine, and they have a really good ability to take something and make it a high quality. So this shed will be pretty high quality. So yeah.
Okay.
Questions?
Oh, what is the use of the shed? What's it going to be for?
It's really like a she shed, like work area, hangout spot. Yeah, for the owners. They're lacking storage space. Their current house is only 1,200 square feet, and so they've been living in Chicago and here part-time, and they like to move here full-time, and so they're going to sell their house in Chicago and store some stuff in the shed. So that's one of the main things, a lot of books and stuff. Yeah, so.
Like it could be used for a living cottage.
It could be, yeah, yeah.
Or a guest house.
Yeah, or a guest house. But really, it's going to be for the owner's use, actually, Kathy's use.
It is, it's a wonderful little 1925 house, and I think it was built originally as employee housing for the resort. So it's, you know,
Right.
it's got a bit of history to it, and
Yeah, it used to be the seamstress's house, and so there was a little separate door way back when for the seamstress to accept, to come and measure and stuff, so. But this particular shed is not touching that existing structure, and it's kind of completely separate, so it won't mess with it. Even though, honestly, that house was ready for demo before we got to it, so.
Is the property line in back of the new cottage or shed, does that abut the brewery?
No, it abuts all those metal buildings that the town owns, which are not in compliance in any way to the HPC.
the maintenance yard.
Maintenance yard, yeah. So, I mean, and it used to be, you know, where recycles were. So when they first moved there were a lot of flies. And actually the fence is not at the edge of their property, and it can go over about 5 feet when you walk out there, so. There's a fence, their fence, and then there's 5 feet to the town's fence, so.
I have a question of the village. If this is built as shown, is this within the setback limits, et cetera, that is?
It is not. I spoke to Christine about that. It needs to be 10 feet, and she's going to submit updated drawings.
It needs to be moved over a little bit.
It just needs to be moved 5 feet toward.
So these drawings aren't what it's going to end up as?
Right,
Needs to
so-
revise the setbacks.
so you
She
should-
can amend them right now if she
Yeah, add
needs
an
to.
amendment. Add an amendment that it will be located within the setback lines.
So we'll do an amendment.
Yeah, please. Otherwise, all the exterior surfaces, everything will match the house. I'll just have, yeah. Same siding, same crawl space, same trim.
But it's not going to
Same
change the
windows.
dimensions or anything else? We're moving the whole thing?
Right, it's just moving over, yeah.
Well, I think it's really clever how you put a contemporary structure next to a 1925 cottage.
Yeah, it's what they wanted.
And have it look consistent with the architecture, which is one of the requirements, to be consistent with the architecture
Yeah.
of the cottage and congruous with the Pinehurst Historic District.
And it really is going to be hidden. No one will see it, honestly, but.
This is on Dead End Road, right?
Yes. Mhm. And the other owner happens to be myself,
Yeah.
the neighbor, so I'm totally fine with this.
Correct me, can we go back to the previous drawing, showing where it is on that plot? Keep going. The one that shows the plot. There we go. And somebody refresh, maybe you know, Christine, there was discussion by the village, I know, to extend, if you will, the parking lot for the brew pub, to bring it all the way around and connect it with one of those streets. Do you recall which street that
Yeah,
was?
that was Power Plant Road.
That was Power Plant? Okay, so this one will remain dead end then?
Yes. Now,
to
the
the best of it.
previous master plan, Spur Road, was supposed to extend, but, and I actually, thought about that when I was designing my house, but they've gotten rid of that. They're completely abandoned it, and it's Power Plant.
Okay,
In fact,
so
the
that was my
brewery
question. I
even-
couldn't remember where it was Spur or whether it was Power Plant that was going to be
Yeah,
brought on
if you
through.
go to the end of that brewery parking, you'll see Power Plant is very close. 'cause-
Right, yeah, I just didn't, it could go either way, actually, but that's why I was asking.
Well,
Okay.
Spur would be a little different, yeah, but.
Any more questions? I have to ask, any comments from attendees? Thank you. I think it's time for a motion to approve the COA. Do I hear a motion?
I can make a motion.
Thank you.
Upon due consideration of the application package submitted and the testimony given today, the Historic Preservation Commission concludes the following: that the applicant has satisfied the burden of persuasion, and the project as proposed, subject to any conditions imposed by the commission, is congruous with the special character of the Pinehurst Historic District and consistent with historic district guidelines. A certificate of appropriateness is hereby granted for the reasons stated.
And will we add our amendment or the condition of the changing the drawings?
Oh, yes, correct.
To reflect a change in the setback from 10 feet to 15 feet?
That hasn't been submitted to us, and I'm not sure it's in our purview.
Well, that's true. That's true. It's
Doesn't-
not anything that the setbacks really don't concern us for a certificate of appropriateness.
You can make a suggestion, since that is a base zoning requirement, that subject to an updated site plan that is compliant with the current setback regulations.
Subject to that, and no further approval by this body will be required. I've amended my motion to that extent.
For a second.
Second.
Third seconded. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, nay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Christine.
That was too easy.
Like them.
One more bit of business, and that is a review of normal maintenance and minor work items. Are there any questions about those?
I have none.
I did ask Peter about the changes to the application on the COA on 74 Midland. You all remember that property that we spent some time on. And I think, those are certainly very minor. Do you want to speak to that?
Yes, there were changes to the window sizings. So one window increased by 1 foot 4 inches to meet code compliance, and one window shrunk by 1 foot 6 inches to create privacy in a bathroom. And then they changed a double window to a casement window, but not changing the size, just the style. Those were the 3 changes.
Any more discussion on the work items, the maintenance and minor work items? Well, all that's to be said is we will meet again on October 24th, and thank you very much. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Harry Lertz moves that we adjourn, made the motion, and Eric Von Saltzen seconded the motion. Thank you.